Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of Modern Media Review. I'm Robin Gibson.
And I'm Sean Gollingly.
And in a slight change to the normal procedure, we'd just like to say that, not that we don't trust anyone to listen to the end.
Well, of course they always do.
They always do, yeah.
As the data tells us.
Instead of telling you all this at the end, we're just going to say at the beginning, if you like what you hear, remember to listen to us and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify and iTunes.
Absolutely.
And you can also visit us on Facebook and Twitter at review_modern.
And the website.
modernmediareview.com. That's all the details, so now we'll get on with this week's review, which is concerned with Brexit, which might, I suppose some people think this is a bit overplayed, but...
Well, I don't know. Is it a story that's been sort of like at the top of the news agenda?
It's been in the news. Some people have been going on about it rather a lot, and a lot of people are very confused about it.
29th of March is the key date.
Apparently so.
And it's all sorted, I believe.
Depending on some sources, it is sorted, Sean, yeah. What we should review today is the government's website at gov.uk/EU exit, which is a stark website address if ever there was one.
Absolutely.
If you get all your information from the sort of TV stations you might watch, Sean...
Yeah.
BBC4,
Sky Arts, racing TV.
Or say BBC Radio 4.
Well, there's nothing on the TV.
None of this is on there. Only if you listen to the frankly right-of-centre commercial stations such as LBC and even worse Top Radio, which makes LBC seem like Sky Arts, will you hear these adverts. The adverts the government has put out for several weeks now in these stations has got a load of concerned citizens, or should I say subjects, asking what will happen when we leave the EU.
Fair question.
Yes, it is, but they're only asking it on LBC and Top Radio, aren't they? So the ads, it's got a load of actors voicing concerned citizens, that's what I should say, saying, will I have to renew my passport? What about my roaming data? Because that's one of the most important things.
Yeah, definitely.
Roaming.
Not that we might go bankrupt.
No, that doesn't matter. It's roaming. Is your data cap still going to apply in Romania? Nothing to do with the country going bankrupt, mate. That's a minor concern. Or fishing. Fishing's way down compared to roaming. Anyway, these ads are they're not entirely scaremongering. All they do is send you to the website. I think they're a bit like those old Protect and Survive campaigns where you had to go and hide under the table.
Which was always going to work in a nuclear war.
Well, as long as you put a few egg boxes on the wall as well.
Well, a bit like if you saw the mushroom cloud and you just put your eyes in front of your face, then it wouldn't happen, would it?
Put your eyes in front of your face.
Or your hands in front of your face.
Hands in front of your eyes, yeah. No, I mean...
It wouldn't happen.
It was similar advice, and it was basically saying cover up, hunker down, isolate yourself from everything outside. It was like a nuclear Brexit, really, wasn't it? And the other thing it reminded me of a bit was the sort of crash landing advice on the aeroplanes, which are completely pointless.
I think if you plummet from 35,000 feet, the brace position becomes somewhat redundant.
But those are quite simple things, protect and survive and crash landing on a plane.
Yeah.
Whereas Brexit's a bit complicated.
Not according to the website, because everything seems cut and dried on the website.
Well, yeah, I think they're just trying to help us prepare. I'm not advising you to stockpiling. It's a bit like Christmas shopping, there's always someone who's done it in September and they're a bit annoying and they keep going on about it. But actually, I don't know anyone who's stockpiled anything.
Not yet.
Not yet, but have you stockpiled anything?
Yes, two things.
What?
I've stockpiled straight bananas, because I'm a little bit worried that there's going to be a run on them, and I'm going to stockpile...
It's funny that, straight bananas. I've never seen a straight banana.
No, me neither. The other thing I'm going to stockpile is water.
Water?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I'm going to fill the bath up with water.
British water, yeah.
Well, it's not British water, that's the point. It's French water.
Yes, in actuality it's British, but apparently the French own it.
They own all of it. And what happens if some Frenchman decides to turn off the taps to punish the roast beefs?
But there was that guy on the Channel 4 news report a couple of months ago. The way he put it, the French run out of water, was as if they'd actually come over here and were literally turning his taps on.
Well, I think you have to be vigilant, Robin, because if you see any guy in a sort of like hooped t-shirt with a beret and onions over his sort of like handlebars, lurking around reservoirs
with two big canisters.
We need to see, what's this?
I think you're misconceiving all this. The French aren't stealing our water, they just own the water companies.
No, we get it back. Won't it be like some banana republic referring back to bananas, where we start renationalising water to teach them a lesson?
I don't think this lot are going to renationalise anything. They're going to flog it off to their mates, aren't they?
Well,
offshore.
That's a whole other podcast.
I'd stockpile
Go on.
Slippers. Have you any idea how hard it is to get a pair of slippers in the high street these days?
I know you've got to be in your bonnet about
Brexit.
this.
You used to be able to go down the high street and there'd be several shoe shops. You don't get, there's just phone shops, fried chicken, there's no...
Charity. You might be able to
buying someone else's slippers, mate. Why do you normally buy slippers? Because, let's be frank, the ones you've got have started to pong a bit, haven't they? There's no point in buying a second-hand sprayed pair of someone else's old slippers, is there? I think that's all I'm going to stockpile. Slippers. I'm going to get a load of them.
I'll tell you what, that could be like better than the pound. You know, the pound could be falling through the floor while the value of slippers...
increasing in value.
Yeah, let's go long on slippers.
Slippers and water, yeah. Anyway, the ads don't really tell you much, you know. We were talking about something being straightforward and cut and dried.
Yeah.
And compared to the sort of chaos that's been going on in the past few days with amendments, as someone who avidly follows politics...
Yes.
Do you even understand what's going on?
Oh my God! I mean, it changes on a minute by minute basis.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a total shambles. Aren't there a few characters who were driving this whole through have gone remarkably quiet? Boris and Gove and even Farage has gone a little bit quiet.
Farage, I call him. Don't dignify him by Frenchifying his name.
I think he'd annoy him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they've all gone quiet.
Well, his missus will have to leave the country for a start.
I reckon Gove, Johnson, all that lot have been busy compiling this helpful website.
I think maybe they've been stockpiling slippers or water.
The website itself,
it kicks off and it looks like a sort of like children's like Peppa Pig type.
Pig. To me, it looks a bit Lego-y.
Yeah. I mean, it's very nice. We've got everyone represented here.
Oh, nearly. You've got a kind of Asian doctor in a turban.
Yep.
A pregnant white woman.
Yep.
A non-pregnant white workman. You've got a white businessman.
Yeah. Old person.
You've got an old person.
Generic woman.
A generic woman, a white person in a wheelchair, a white female firefighter, a Muslim who looks like she's carrying the Quran, and one guy who could conceivably be called black, or at least, like in that Angela Smith phrase, he's got that funny tinge.
Funny tinge.
Anyway, it does look very jolly and cheery, doesn't it?
Yeah. I do like that though. We are leaving.
This is the other thing. You may think
it's all a bit up in the air.
Up in the air, there's talk of delay.
Second referendum, general election perhaps?
Something like that. Anything like that. I mean, none of it. Nothing might happen. Something might happen. We might leave and we might not. Soon or later. But the website is pretty adamant. It says prepare for EU exit in big letters, and then it says the United Kingdom brackets UK will leave the European Union brackets EU on 29th March 2019. And that's of February the 28th. So either this website's not very up to date or they don't care.
Well, I think as we move through the website and discuss just a few key points, because it is, I mean, how many documents were there on fishing?
A lot, 50 if you're a fisherman. I mean, they've got different bits of advice, individuals, interesting terminology here. EU citizens in the UK, because EU citizens are citizens. UK nationals, not citizens, because we're not citizens.
What are we, subjects?
Subjects.
No.
It's an unwritten constitution, we're subjects of the monarch, mate. Businesses, they've got, looks like a high street with some workmen boarding up a shop. Something that, frankly, looks like an Italian delicatessen.
We need an end to that for a start.
What's that colours?
Well, red and white.
And green.
It is,
and
yeah. It's Italian. Well, you know, I didn't vote Brexit. I didn't vote Brexit to have all these Italian cafes serving their lovely cappuccinos and...
No, we need to get rid of all that. But next door it looks like it's a bookies.
It probably is a book or a pound shop.
So these are the businesses they're concerned about. Actually, Sean, you know, the business advice is extremely complicated.
Well, why don't we have a look at what concerns us, which is basically telephones and going abroad.
In the advert, they're asking things like, will I need to renew my passport earlier than planned, or will mobile roaming charges change and all that. There's so much stuff in there, like, are your shoes the right colour for Hungary, or are you planning to crash into another car driving in Greece? I mean, every single page begins with this: delivering the deal remains the government's top priority. This has not changed.
I like that. That's very firm. That's very firm.
And then every page then says, however, and goes on to give you a load of bureaucratic, nightmarish stuff, really. Some of them are just like a page. Some of them you have to read loads and loads of documents.
A lot of it's out of date even now. I mean, it comes back in vogue, you know, as they're changing their minds in Parliament.
I had a look at business, right, for us. Say we're arguably, you know, theoretically a business.
Yeah.
But we're not selling much, are we?
No, we're not.
No. So I thought I'd look up fishing.
Okay.
That seems to be a big issue.
It was a massive issue at the time of the referendum.
No, when I looked up fishing, right, I went through the whole procedure, which I think was very big of me, considering I'm not actually planning on fishing in...
You're not going to buy a trawler?
Not going to troll in either UK or EU waters. You had to go through all this rigmarole and you ended up with 50 different publications. No way would I be reading that out. I'd just be setting out to sea, mate, no matter what happens on the 30th of March and hoping for the best.
And ramming, some of these French trawlers trying to steal our fish.
Yeah, well, they've already done that, haven't they? We've had a bit of trawler ramming a few months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a good rehearsal for the whole fiasco, the real thing, the real fiasco, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, it's probably better to look at the personal stuff. So I thought about some of the things like what you might actually do as a normal citizen or subject. I thought driving, obviously that's an issue. In the advert, they say, well, I need a new driving licence.
Yeah.
Apparently, looking at this page, you will. If you're a UK licence holder who lives in EU, you've got to exchange your driving licence for an EU driving licence before the 29th of March.
No.
Do you think anyone's done that?
No chance.
It says consider doing it as soon as possible. Well, there's not much time left, is there? It says there's going to be increased demand and delays the closer it is to 29th of March. The next bit I found interesting was road traffic. As if road traffic... Who's planning a road traffic accident? I suppose you've got to know what to do.
Well, exactly. I did fall off a moped in Greece once.
And what do you think would happen now if that happened to you? Actually, no one was to blame there.
No.
You wouldn't be making a claim.
No, that was me.
Did you have any insurance?
I don't know, probably not.
Did you get back on?
Yeah.
I don't think that's the sort of incident they're thinking about.
Oh, right, okay.
They're thinking about actually having a car crash.
Okay.
So, you might need to bring a claim, it says, in the local language.
What?
See, this is the problem with this. This runs through the whole website. Doing things in the local language. They basically keep palming you off. You're going to have to do a lot of stuff in local languages, apparently, which is very, very worrying for people who can't speak any local language. It reminds me of this guy who once... Have you ever been to Madeira in Spain?
No.
I had a friend. Actually, half of Paisley used to be out there. Anyway, once I got a lift... Well, not a lift, I got a taxi from an English taxi driver who was living over there. And he said, halfway down the road, he hadn't learned any Spanish.
Well, you don't need to, do you?
Well, you did, because he got stopped at a toll thing on the road, right? And he went, when the bloke talked to him in Spanish and just kind of pigeoned his way through it. And I went, do you not know any Spanish? He went, no point. He'd been there for at least 10 years. He was claiming benefits as well while he was working as a taxi driver. Very entrepreneurial.
Yeah, very entrepreneurial.
So then I was a bit shocked by this bloke. As we get closer to the airport, he said, look, he got a bit nervous and he said, do you mind if I drop you at the perimeter? It was like half a mile from the terminal. And I said, well, not if you have to.
No insurance, obviously.
No. Apparently the local taxi drivers didn't like him doing this taxiing lot.
Okay.
Surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
I bet he's worried now.
I bet he is.
I mean, the whole thing about being there, being in Europe, has become quite complicated. This reminds me of the old East Germany.
Yeah.
It says, you may be asked to confirm that you have sufficient funds for the duration of your stay.
Well, hold on a minute.
What is sufficient funds?
I never have sufficient funds for holiday. I never have sufficient funds for life, to be honest.
Would they let you off with a credit card?
When you went into East Germany, you had to take out a certain amount in the local in the local currency, and when you were coming out again, they took it all off you if you hadn't spent
it.
It
was worse
all.
than that, mate. I tell you. One night, I was spent a few nights going from the old West Berlin to East Berlin and back, and you had to go through the same checkpoint that you came in, and then if you got the wrong one, they just kept you there for about 4 hours. Well, they kept me there for about 4 hours, and then they took all my money off me.
Yeah.
That's what I hadn't spent when I was in there. This looks like it's going to be like this all over now. I don't understand the definition of sufficient funds. Say you're going to Italy.
Backpacking.
Italy for 14 days.
Backpacking.
What's sufficient funds?
Oof.
What are you going to do in Italy for 14 days?
Well, not much. I don't think there's much there, is there?
Well, there is. What do you mean there's not much there?
What?
What's that meant to mean? What would you do and how much money would you need?
Well, you'd need...
You need pizza money, right?
Yeah.
Wine and pizza money.
Basically.
So that's what, 10 quid a day?
Yeah, at least.
Do you think you get in with 140 quid for
No.
a fortnight?
No chance.
Say you're just going to sleep on a bench or something?
What they should really say is, it may be that we don't actually understand, so we're maybe covering all options.
Maybe. It may be that this website doesn't have a clue what's going to happen.
It sort of gets that way when you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, but if you look at this...
Starts off very sort of like dogmatically saying this will happen.
Well, they're very dogmatic about we will leave the EU.
Yeah. Who wrote this?
Boris Johnson and Michael Gove. What I'm saying is, once they get past, well, what you said, once they get past the dogmatic introduction, they're a bit unsure.
Yeah.
For example, there's a bit here about this travelling in and out of Schengen and all this. Latest updates. If there is no deal, we already know that's what they're addressing. You will need to take new action. In other words, all the other stuff is if there is a deal.
Well, hold on a minute. All that other stuff was pretty cast iron clear.
This just says it will be updated regularly and checked back before travel. That literally means if you're going to go on one of your regular city breaks to Italy or France that you always do, you've got to check this.
Frankly, it sounds like a shambles.
It is, yeah. And then you've got, never mind all that right of movement, that is all trivial compared to roaming. This says that nothing can be no longer, that's a double negative. Anyway, whatever it is that currently exists can no longer be guaranteed, which is pretty much the summing up of the whole website.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that
can't be
exists
guaranteed.
Can no longer be guaranteed.
However, we will leave on the 29th of March.
And then there's this other problem. If you live in Northern Ireland, apparently, which is obviously going to be the big problem.
Yeah,
Brexit,
massively, yeah.
This business. But they'd forgotten about when they started this whole shenanigans, hadn't they? After about 2 years, someone popped a light bulb on and said, oh, what about Ireland?
What about the Good Friday Agreement?
Never thought about that, did they?
No.
Liam Fox went, oh, we'll have 40 trade deals. He never said, and Ireland will be fine. No one actually said nothing about it. No one addressed Ireland until recently. And never mind this business about the inadvertent demolition of the Good Friday Agreement or the inadvertent hard border.
Yeah.
The main thing it says here is that people in border areas in Northern Ireland should be aware of the issue of inadvertent roaming.
Does that mean that if you're coming home from the pub, a bit worse for wear, you might inadvertently roam into the Republic?
If you're inadvertently roaming near to the Republic, you can pick up a signal from a... You know what it's like when you go to a new country and it suddenly goes, bong, welcome to Germany.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So you'll be just... Maybe you might be inadvertently coming back from a bit of smuggling.
Well, this could be a growth industry around the border. Which
smuggling will be, won't it?
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, if you're inadvertently roaming across the border with 20,000 fags on your back.
So I don't want to tar everyone with the brush of smuggling, but didn't your old man...
Well, Robin, I think smuggling...
do a bit of cross-border...
Well, smuggling is a strong word. I think it was unregulated trading, perhaps.
Okay, unregulated trading, right?
With about 20,000 fags strapped to your back. The problem was that inadvertently roaming over the border, which obviously he wasn't trying to do.
No.
If he had been carrying a mobile phone with him...
There'd been too much inadvertent roaming and he'd have run up a huge bloody bill, wouldn't he?
He'd have got a massive bill at the end of the month, and profit
would have been profit at all.
Would have been gone, really.
You know what? There's no advice for this kind of thing on the website. There's no advice for any inadvertent roaming of any type whatsoever over any borders.
I was thinking for anyone that was thinking about unregulated trading across the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic should bear this in mind.
Isn't that what Jacob Rees-Moggs planned? He's set up in Dublin to do some unregulated trading in the event of Brexit, hasn't he? Anyway, that's inadvertent roaming. Another subject that's quite important is pets. I mean, my cat's never actually expressed a deep desire for any sort of continental action, you know. He seems quite happy here.
Robin, I'm totally with you on this, because my cat, if my cat fancies going to Milan, she'll just sort of like leave out the door and say, catch you later, I'm off for a fashion show. And you used to be able to do that on the old EU passport.
Yeah, pet passport. I didn't even know they had them. I mean, my cat quite likes Parma ham. I don't know, that's probably going to be difficult to get hold of. It's an indulgence, really, feeding them Parma ham.
Well, it's going to be banned, so you don't have to worry about it.
I think I have to stockpile Parma ham.
Absolutely, in your numbered account, your safety deposit, your safety deposit box in either Liechtenstein or Switzerland. However, we might have a replacement for Parma ham, a little bit closer to home, a little bit old school.
Yeah.
Spam,
yeah. Because are you going to stockpile that? Is it just as good as Parma ham?
Have you not seen it? When you open up the tin, very like blancmange. A bit like Parma ham.
That's not equally good, is it? The blancmange feel. This is just going to worry the cat. All this business about spam and no more Parma ham.
Well, it's going to be very difficult as they go through customs.
What's going to worry him even more is all this official business he's got to deal with if he wants to go abroad. On the government website, it says it gives you advice for... It refers to your cat, dog or ferret. Why is it a ferret? Why not a hamster or gerbil or guinea pig?
I do love the idea of a civil servant or Boris Johnson or Michael Gove who might be writing this to actually think dog, cat, ferret.
Yeah, well, it's bringing in people from the north, though, isn't it? It's bringing the country back together.
What, like racing pigeons, whippets, and ferret?
There's quite an interesting point there, like racing pigeons, homing pigeons, and all that. They used to be a bit of a thing in this country. During the war, they did a lot of roaming, didn't they?
Well,
they were like a secret weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why I'm convinced that this has been written by a man of a certain age who is harking back to British Empire days and saying, wouldn't it be fantastic if we could get our homing pigeons sending messages to and from our resistance fighters in Europe.
That might be part of the plan. Part of the trade deal. Sending trade deals they've not established yet, sending pigeons with messages, you know. We need stuff from the Empire Day to sort of replace what we're going to lose. You know?
However, which is a word that is quite often used on the website.
Site.
However, will Britain not be like that little shop that you went to, Robin, on your camping trip?
Oh, the one with the tins, yeah. We went on a little trip to Scotland, yeah, and they had we were running short of supplies, and we were not in the Highlands, the Low Highlands, you know.
Where is the Low Highlands, by the way?
Well, it's not as south of the Highlands. And we were running low, and we went into a little shop in the middle of nowhere, and went in, and the shelves were like the tinned beans. Everything was tins. Tinned beans, tinned sausages, tinned beans with sausages, tinned spaghetti, but not the European.
Bit of a theme.
Not the European spaghetti, the tinned type. So we bought a few tins. We got to have a tin of sausages, a tin of beans, a tin of spam probably. Then we said, can we have a loaf of bread? And the woman goes, oh no, sonny, there's no call for perishables around here. And we're like, what? Perishables? What? This is maybe where we're going to be with Brexit, isn't it?
I'm just thinking
no perishables.
That we will be this little corner shop off the mainland of Europe that basically has not many perishables.
But I mean, we've gone off the track here a little bit, but the advice about the pets is a bit shocking, because it's not just getting the microchipped. It's like you've got to get your vet to. I mean, you've got to talk to your vet, presumably in English, unless there's some other local.
An English-speaking vet.
Yeah, English-speaking vet. Yeah, and you've got to get a blood sample for rabies. You have to get it sent to an EU-approved blood testing laboratory. Get the results back 3 months before you go abroad with your pet. Take it to an official veterinarian no more than 10 days before travel to get a health certificate. This is ludicrous. I mean, I don't think my vet knows what an EU-approved blood testing centre is. He just uses basic talk.
Well, it's interesting, really, because in the old scare days, they always used to say, be careful of Europe because it's full of rabies. As soon as we joined Europe, that went a bit quiet, but now it's back again.
Rabies is back, yeah.
It is back in a big way.
Yeah, and it's going to be in Britain, because you're going to have to be tested for it before you leave.
Well, us?
Well, I don't know if we'll be tested for rabies, but it is interesting to move on.
But if we go to Hungary, are we going to be tested for rabies?
Possibly, but I mean, we just got to look at the general thing for humans, haven't we? Like medical treatment abroad for humans. I mean, that's
massively important.
So it says here, like, it's quite specific advice here. It says if you're medically unwell.
What?
Medically unwell. Not philosophically unwell.
Which I quite often feel.
Financially unwell.
Both.
Yeah. Medically unwell, then you have got access to healthcare under certain circumstances. It says that the government has or is seeking agreements with countries.
Whoa!
There's two different things there. You've got to have something or you're seeking it.
Whoa.
If I've got a pair of slippers...
I was just going to bring it back to your slippers.
Right? Yeah. If I'm seeking a pair of slippers...
Then you're basically seeking them and you've not found them.
Without slippers. If there are no slippers, then the quest is a dud.
Absolutely.
This stuff is very, very vague. You've either got it or you're seeking it. And then it says, then they send you, this is where they sort of absolve themselves of responsibility again and say, you can go to the Spanish government Brexit website, which I would imagine just as a big screen saying, ha 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 ha. This whole thing of they have or they might have some sort of agreement or they might not.
However, but if,
it's
what,
talking about
when.
Deal or no. It's like the real Deal or No Deal. It's almost like you're going to open the box and just see what you get.
Well, this is the incredible thing. Are we going to actually have pictures of Theresa May when the rest of Europe are laughing, watching her, picking up her Deal or No Deal box, putting her hand in and going, oh dear, you're fucked?
You think it's difficult in Spain, you want to try Hungary, right?
Ooh.
The rules there are so heavy duty. It's like, if you're staying for more than 3 months, I don't know why you would. You're going to need a passport, a work contract, a student acceptance letter, a bank statement. Who's got a bank statement on their person nowadays?
Not really.
And lease, proof of address, and a fee. It doesn't say what the fee is, just a fee paid by fiscal stamp, whatever that is.
Well, it sounds a little bit like, what, fiscal stamp? Is that like when you go into a nightclub and get stamped?
Yeah, and don't have a bath the next day.
Or for a week, try and get in the next week for nothing.
In the case of a deal between the EU and the UK, the Hungarian government is committed to implementing something or other, and it says it's currently developing the exact legal and practical provisions for both scenarios, which suggests to me that nothing's been settled with Hungary.
Well, the thing about Hungary, possibly not so welcome if you've got a funny tinge. And maybe if you come from the UK, because I think they're moving fairly towards the right. Would that be fair to say? You might have to stitch on some sort of like UK, sew it onto your outside of your jacket, you know, just to distinguish yourself.
A little badge, yeah. Like the car thing. Back of the car bumper thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just a distinguishing mark.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's not a thin end of a wedge.
No.
Mind you
exaggerating to make a point.
You also need lease and proof of address. What a lease? Lease for what? And if you move from one place to another in Hungary, you've got to register your address at the local registry office.
Whoa.
Have you ever had to do that?
No. That's pretty hardcore, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the whole thing about it is that they've got no idea what's really going to happen. It says stuff like, in the case of a deal, the Hungarian government's committed to implementing the withdrawal agreement. What agreement? We don't know what it is yet. And if it's no deal, then they're committed to protecting the current rights. You see, again, we're back to this point where at the start of the website it was all very cut and dried. Now they're saying things are broadly similar to
However,
and you know, it may or may not be what.
Check out someone else's website.
Maybe you'll have to do it all in Hungarian. Anyway, Hungary's going to be tricky, I'd say. This is repeated, I'd imagine, because I haven't bothered to look at all the other pages.
Across every other page.
Other page. Things are in the pipeline. It's all in. The wheels are in motion. You can imagine them sitting there doing that wheels in motion thing with their hands, can't you?
Yeah.
Wheels are in motion. Come back on the 29th. The whole thing's a fiasco. It's of no help to anyone. There's a lot more of it than we've been through. The bit that I really like, it's a phrase that sums up a lot to me, right?
Oh, hang on. We've reached an agreement. I like that.
Well, yes, but then this might have changed.
What?
It might have changed. It's reached an agreement with the EU and also Norway, Iceland and Liechtenstein. That makes it sound as if it's all good. Agreement's been reached, everything's great.
Sorted out.
All sorted, and then it says, this agreement means that most citizens from blah 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 and blah will now need to apply to stay in the UK.
So it's all fine except...
Well, I love this phrase. They can then continue living their lives as they do now.
Yeah,
Sanction to live your life
I like
as
that.
you do now.
Yeah, you may.
Big of them.
You may do that.
Use this tool to find out how to do it and when.
How to live your life.
Continue living your life.
I like that. Yeah.
That's my main priority after Brexit is to continue being alive.
No, being allowed to. However, that may change.
It may change. In fact, all of this may change.
Well, it's just a load of a puff saying something will definitely happen, and then sort of setting up all these different scenarios where it's different, you know, and it's not straightforward and not clear, as you can see daily on the TV. That it's just a complete shambles.
Yeah. Anyway, that's about it for the government EU exit website.
Yeah, it's crap.
Well, it's about as good as the old Protect and Survive videos. I think I'll put one of them on the website.
Yeah, do that. That'd be worth it.
And I hope everyone can protect and survive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until next week.
Absolutely.
We'll be back talking about something or other.
Do something.
We'll see how it goes. Okay, on that note, don't forget all the stuff we said at the beginning about the web.
No one's listening. No one's listening.
About the website, YouTube,
no one's listening.
iTunes, Spotify, all the rest of it. And that's it from us, and we'll see you later.
Cheers.
Right, goodbye.